Well, the last 2 weeks, if you haven't been here or you haven't tuned in online on YouTube, we have been kind of in a mini-series, but we haven't announced it yet. And I'm calling it It's Okay. And 2 weeks ago, we talked about mourning, and it's okay to mourn. And then last week, we talked about it's okay to be weak, to feel weak. And this week, it's okay to be pruned. It's okay to be pruned. How many of you going into 2020, you're like, man, this is going to be the best year ever, right? You're like, I got 2020 vision, let's go. And then 2020 happened, you're like, dude, this is not what I pictured. This is not what I saw. This is not what I thought was going to happen. And this isn't really what I signed up for. You know, like if you're a parent and you had your kids in public school or in private school, when you were like, when you decided, man, we're going to have kids, let's have some kids. You weren't picturing 2020 and trying to have your third grader sit in front of a screen for like 3 hours. You weren't picturing that, were you? It's like not what you signed up for. How many of us are going through things that we didn't sign up for? Man, I didn't think it was going to be like this. And it's dead ends. It's things that are just cut off. We're going, what is happening? It wasn't supposed to be like this. I had anticipation of all of these really great things. And now it's not great. And it's actually really rough and difficult. And I don't know even how to handle myself and handle my family and handle how I face another day. And as we look in the Bible, we see, like Peter, in 1 Peter, Peter says, hey, don't be surprised when you face fiery trials. It's like, oh, that's not, wait, what? I signed up at the altar to have, like, the blessing. I thought you were going to, like, make my life the best, and you were going to bring restoration. You were going to change me, and you were going to have the world know Jesus because I gave you my life at the altar, and I thought everything was going to be great. And now you're going about life, and you're going, oh, my goodness, there's suffering over and over and over and over again. And I thought I was going to be immune to the suffering. But it feels like sometimes I have more suffering than some of the people that aren't following Jesus. Have you ever looked at that? It's like David. And David's like, why are the wicked not suffering? And I feel like I am right after I gave you my life. Have you ever felt that way where it's like, they seem like they're doing great. And now all the stuff is happening to me. How many of you know you didn't sign up for comfort when you followed Jesus? You didn't sign up for a cushy lifestyle when you followed Jesus. You didn't sign up to have it all together, to be perfect, to be righteous every time you walk into the church and be like, I got it all together and there's nothing broken. No, you signed up to be in process and to become love. You didn't sign up to have an easy life. You signed up to be molded and shaped by the potter's hands to become just like him. Turn your Bibles to John 15. As you're turning there, I already gave it away that we're talking about being pruned. And everybody got really excited. Like all the energy just like sucked out of the room. It's like, pruning, oh no. I think that the thing that I want to address before we dive deeper into this passage in John 15 is the question that we're always asking in the middle of our suffering is, who's doing this to me? Who's to blame for my suffering? Is that right? Whose fault is this? Someone please tell me whose fault this is. And I think that that's an important question that we're all asking. And sometimes we think when we ask the question, if we could figure out the answer, then we would figure out a way to not have to go through suffering again. Sometimes we think like, oh, if I figure it out, then I can avoid it the next time around. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. So if you figure out why you're suffering, the only way that you're going to actually avoid the suffering that you just went through is if you're suffering because of your own sin. And it's actually the consequences of your mistakes that you can learn from so that it doesn't happen again. And you renew your mind so that you can have your life changed. That's one of the reasons why some of us suffer. We suffer because we sowed gossip and we reaped loneliness. Some of us sowed lust and we're reaping disconnection. Some of us sowed lying and now we're reaping distrust. And that's just how it is. And so we actually face that and we go, Holy Spirit, what's the lie that I've been believing? I want to agree with the truth so I actually don't walk that out anymore, right? So that's one reason why you might be suffering. The other reason why you might be suffering is because we live in a fallen world, and the person that lives with you or goes to work with you or is across the city on Zoom with you, they're messed up. They don't have all of their crap together, and they have free will, free choice to do things and to say things that doesn't look like Jesus. So maybe you're suffering because of somebody else. Maybe you're suffering because it's a fallen world. And all of creation is groaning for God to reveal the sons of man. It's like there's been futility that's hit creation. And so maybe there's a storm, and maybe there's a literal storm, and there's a tornado or a hurricane that struck, and it wasn't because God is going, yeah, I'm going to destroy New Orleans. No, it's because there's a broken world here. If he's the one behind the hurricane that destroyed New Orleans, then he should have actually hit the wicked streets of New Orleans rather than the ones that actually got destroyed. So he has bad aim, doesn't he? Really bad aim, because all of the strip clubs and bars are still standing after the hurricane, and all of the homes were destroyed. So man, what was he thinking? He missed it. Or maybe just the world is suffering futility because of the fall. I know that I just touched some really hot buttons. I'm so sorry. If you want to go deeper into the sovereignty of God, you can check out the Good God series, okay? Some of you guys are like, now I'm not going to listen to you because that's not what I believe. And so that's okay. You can chew up the meat and spit out the bones, okay? So if that was a bone for you, please just leave it behind. It's okay. You can believe something different than me and still actually receive. You can chew up the meat and spit out the bones. Are we okay? For all you Calvinists out there, don't check out. This word's for you. Okay. Gosh, sometimes you just have to have real talk, you know? They're super offended, and I was like, stop. Right? Yeah. Okay. And then sometimes there's pruning. And it's the vine dresser. It's the Father that's pruning you. And I just don't know when that is. So I can't tell you, it's like, oh, that's the Father pruning you. I know that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So that's another reason why you might be suffering, because it's an attack of the enemy. If there's destruction happening in your life, if there's loss happening in your life, if there's death happening in your life, it might be demonic. That's what the enemy wants, is all those things. But then it says right after that Jesus came that we would have life and life abundantly, but life and life abundantly in the kingdom is different than life and life abundantly in the American dream. Right? They're different. We just have to acknowledge there's some difference there. He might be pruning you. But trying to figure out if he's the one behind it or not sometimes might be a waste of time. What is a good use of time is figuring out, what do I do when I feel like I'm in a season of pruning? How do I grapple with the dead end? How do I grapple with the constant waiting? I've already been waiting, and now it's more waiting. How do I grapple with, I keep on sending applications in, and there's never a response back? How do I grapple with, I'm still single, and I thought I would have kids by now, and then all my friends have kids, and I'm still single, and I don't know why? Gosh, these men just sitting around. Look at them all. They're just worshiping, not even noticing me. I'm just playing. Hey. All right, you guys ready to jump into John 15? We're just having fun here. We're having fun, okay? All right, this is fun. Yeah, John 15. We're going to start in verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Right now, what's happening, Jesus, it's right before the crucifixion, and he's talking to his disciples before he goes to the cross, and he's preparing them for what's coming. And this is a parable that he's sharing with them. He says, I am the true vine, my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. So in this parable, in every parable, you want to understand what the characters are that Jesus is talking about. And so the characters that he's introducing are the Father, who's the vine dresser. He's introducing himself as the vine. And then he says, you guys are the branches. And he says that our job, later in the passage, he says that your job is to abide. And then he says, I want you to bear much fruit. So the question is, what is abiding? That's really important. Is that important? What is abiding? And then what is fruit? And later in the passage, we see that Jesus defines abiding. He says, abide in me. And then a couple verses later in verse 9, if you look down at verse 9, he says, abide in my love. So what's synonymous with abiding in Jesus is actually abiding in his love. And abiding is receiving the nutrients of his love. Just like how a vine, right? You've got a vine, and then there's nutrients that are coming out of the vine that are actually moving through the branches. And that's what he's saying is, I want you to be in receiving mode all the time. Receiving my love. That's what it means to abide. And then the question is, okay, what is fruit? And later in the passage, he gives it away. Fruit is actually to love others. Oh, whoa, oh no. Wait, them? Yeah, right? It's like, wait, her? I have to love her? So it's abiding in the vine, receiving his love, and then what happens is as we abide and receive his love, then there's an outflow of our love, and it's the sweetness of the love that we received. And so that's really good news for some of us, because some of us grew up believing that the fruit was actually introducing people to Jesus. And if I went down the row and I looked at every single one of you and I said, hey, you, how many people did you lead to Jesus this year? And how many did you lead to Jesus, right? And you're like, oh no, don't come to my row. I've been quarantined, right? And you're like, I do have fruit. Can't tell you what the fruit is, but listen, Jesus is describing fruit as loving others, and that's his commandment, is I want you to love others. I want you to lay down your life for your friends. So he says in verse 2, look at, the Father has two jobs, and verse 2 describes his two roles, his two jobs of how he expresses love as a vine dresser. The first thing that he does is he takes away every branch that doesn't bear fruit. Oh no. Look at verse 6 now. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers. Okay? And the branches are gathered, oh no, and thrown into the fire and burned. Okay. So if I'm not like really good at loving someone, then he's going to take me away and I'm going to wither and I'm going to get burned up. And I don't want to do that. Right? That's what, when I grew up and I read that passage, there was an oh no moment, especially because I thought I have to lead people to Jesus and they have to get born again, or I'm going to get thrown into the lake of fire. But now it's still a problem because I'm messy in my love for others. And I'm not really fruitful sometimes in loving others around me. Are you like me? Like I try. Right? But that's not what is being said here in this passage. I want you to look at that word, take away. That word, take away, as I look at it, I really believe that this is a mistranslation in the Greek. Because that word, take away, is actually used throughout the New Testament in other ways. Like Jesus is calling us to take up or lift up our cross and follow him. It's the same phrase. Instead of it's not take away the cross and follow me. It's lift up. Other ways it's used is they lifted up their voices in Acts 4. And they lifted up their voices in worship and prayer. Jesus is painting a picture of what happens in vineyards in Israel. Because what happens is there's branches that actually fall. In the vineyards of Israel, there's branches that fall and they fall into the shade. And anybody that is a connoisseur for wine, right? Not like me. But if you know anything about grapes and how they actually thrive, they thrive in the sun. And when they're in the shadows, they actually have to have a vine dresser lift up those branches that are not bearing fruit because they're in the shade. And they have to be lifted up and put on the trellis so that the sun can start shining on them. And the Father is saying for many of us in this room, yeah, you're in self-focus. Yeah, you're in darkness. Yeah, you're facing difficulty. And I am not upset. I'm not going to cut you off. But you are still abiding, and I'm going to lift you up into the gaze of the Son of God so that you can experience the warmth of Jesus. I want you to experience the warmth of my love, the sustenance of my Son, but the warmth of the Father's love shining down on you. And there's accusation from every side. You're not good enough. You're not doing enough. You're not earning it. And the Lord's going, oh, I'm just going to lift you up. I want to be kind to you. I want you to be a spectacle of my kindness. I believe that's for someone tonight. Verse 2, he continues with his second role, right? And he starts talking about pruning. And so he lifts branches up, and then he cuts branches. Oh, no. So he's saying, okay, you're fruitful. Excuse me. Now I'm going to have you get cut back. And I started thinking about this, and I'm going, Lord, when is there a time where I was really loving people well, I was bearing fruit, and then you just like cut things back in my life spiritually? And I was hard-pressed to find any stories that I could think of where it's like, wow, I was really loving people well, and then something happens where spiritually I got cut off in some way. And I couldn't think of that. And then the Lord just totally leaned in and put his finger on that question. And he confronted me with our mission as a church to empower everyday believers. And I started realizing that I was compartmentalizing spirituality and our everyday lives. Because I could think of a whole host of things that happened in my storyline where I felt pruned. Whether it be my circumstances, my job, my scenario, whatever it was, relational status, whatever it was, where I felt pruned in my life or I felt fruitful in my life. And I started realizing they were always meant to be overlapping. Why are you getting promoted at work? Because God is wanting you to take your influence that you're gaining at work, and now it's a strategic opportunity for more love to actually get expressed through your life and infiltrate other people's lives. Why are you experiencing financial provision during this season? So that you can be generous on all occasions and start expressing the love of God through giving. Why did you get the job? Because it's a divine setup for everyone that you're going to be working with, so that they can meet Jesus. It's not just because he wants to, he loves you. He loves blessing you. But you're producing fruit, and the breakthrough is actually meant to coincide with you becoming love. It's to coincide with all of the sweetness of the kindness of God that you're receiving to start flowing out into more spheres and greater influence and more people to be impacted because you got the job, because you got the manager position. That manager position isn't for you, it's for them. That manager position is for them to actually have a boss that's infusing kingdom culture into the Walgreens that you're managing. It's for them to have a safe place to be in process even as an employee, because you're a listening, patient shepherd at Walgreens. God's put you in that place because he has something up his sleeve for others. And so I started thinking about that in my own life, and I started going, oh my goodness, this is totally how my life has happened. In college, we're starting to see all of this breakthrough. God's encountering people. There's like prayer and worship happening. There's people just filing into the prayer room. Dozens of people encountering Jesus. And it was like what we call a mini revival. You know, at our Christian college, it's like, God's on the move. You know, like it was really fruitful what was happening. And then I graduated college, and Katie and I got married. And that's when the pruning began, all right? Now, she would say the same about me. Once I married him, the pruning began, so I can say that. But the pruning began, and it was really intense. So we got pregnant a month and a half after we were married with twins. Many of you guys know this. And Katie was bedridden for 7 months in our first year of marriage. It was like, it was just incredible, the honeymoon season we had. And I thought, man, I'm gonna graduate, we're gonna be in ministry, I'm gonna change the world, I got so much vision, let's go. And literally, within a month or two, I'm working in a warehouse, and I'm cleaning toilets for truckers. And I'm there on Sundays, and even in the middle of that, I just feel this confusion, and it's disorienting. Maybe some of you guys feel disoriented right now. And in the disorienting moments, I was still like washing the bathroom, but I had worship songs in my ears, loving him. But it still didn't make it easier, because then there'd be months that go by I wouldn't even talk to him because I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. And I was the prayer guy. I was the guy that spent 3 hours a day with God in college every single day. I'm not exaggerating. 3 hours every single day in Bible and prayer. And I hit marriage, and we are pregnant with twins, and I'm living in my father-in-law's basement, trying to be like, I'm going to be the man of my own house, you know? And I'm like eating cereal with my father-in-law in the mornings, just trying to get by, okay? Oh my gosh, it was tough. And it wasn't just, there's like family turmoil that was happening. There was like so much more than what even I'm describing. It was like, we always say it's like our first year of marriage could have been a movie. It was so dramatic, it was so intense. It was like, there's so much happening. And then we thought, okay, this is our breakthrough. Here it comes. This is it. And we got this invitation, we're going to move to Colorado, and we're going to do ministry. It's going to be so amazing. And so we took our twin girls, they're 3 months old, and first of all, those 3 months, the first 3 months, oh my gosh, that was so intense, okay? We survived. So we survived 3 months, and it's like, okay, now's our breakthrough. We go to Colorado, 1,000 miles away, we show up in Colorado. And there was a miscommunication. Usually pruning is like a lot of miscommunication on like major life decisions. Like, yeah, come on board. And then you get there and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. There must have been some miscommunication. But you can't come on staff for at least 6 months. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, totally. We knew that when we left home, right? With one car, and now I'm working on the construction site with my dad, and I have to drive an hour to work every day, and she doesn't have a car, and she's by herself and doesn't know anyone other than my family, and she's taking care of colicky 3-month-olds. And there's loneliness, there's we're disoriented, there's confusion, and I thought this was my breakthrough. Have you ever been there? We were like, I'm waiting for that moment. Here we go. This is it. And then it wasn't it. And it actually got worse. And so over time, and usually that's what happens, you get pruned, and then it takes some time, right? There's always a little bit of time. And it seems like forever, but there's time that happens. And there's slowly this growing and a building up, and we started experiencing fruit in Colorado. And that was awesome, and we were getting promoted. And then finally we were getting promoted in such a way where we were getting offered another position in the ministry that we were working for. And the week before that, Katie and I had like a prayer retreat, and we felt like God said that we weren't to travel. And it was like a missions organization that we were working for. And felt like we weren't supposed to do any international travel. And my boss gets back from Djibouti, which is like such a funny name for a country, right? And he gets back from Djibouti and he says, hey, I want to promote you into being in this role, but it means that you're going to have to travel once a month internationally. And it hit us in a moment. It's like we knew our time was over. And there was this exhilarating moment of like, okay, this is awesome. And we decided we're going to move back home to Minnesota. And so we moved to Minnesota, and pruning happens again. And this pruning is like maybe just as bad. We're back. Guess what? We're back at my father-in-law's house and my mother-in-law. We're back in their basement. I look over because she's over there. Love you. So generous. There was no rent charged during these seasons. So very generous. And show up, and we're in the basement again. And in confusion of what are we supposed to do? And I'm trying to apply for jobs. Nothing's working. I'm not getting any responses. Then it's like, okay, maybe we'll get this job at a church. And it just starts trailing us along. And it's like 6 months in this process. And they go, oh, I'm so sorry. We just don't have the budget. And I'm thinking breakthrough is coming, and then it's like, oh no. Natural family planning didn't work again. And we're pregnant again. And I can't make ends meet. Like, how are we going to provide? And then Katie gets sick again, and she's bedridden for 6 more months. And we've got twin girls that are 2. Oh, man. And remember last week when I talked about our financial difficulty? That's when that happened. And we start going in debt month after month. Thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. And in these moments of pruning, what it feels like is like you're a seed, and the Father is just taking his thumb and pressing you into the dirt. Deep into the dirt. And you're going, this is it. It's over. This is my life. This is over. Like, I don't know where we go from here. I'm done. And it's dark, and it's cold, and then the sun starts shining on the soil a little bit. And it doesn't make it any better. It's just warm. And it's dark, and it feels like, right? And then all of a sudden, there starts to be a shift that happens. In August 2013, Harvey was born, and in that same month, we started house group. Against the backdrop of all of the darkness, all of the difficulty, all of the pruning, you are actually part of house group. In 2013, August 2013, we started a little house group with 15 people. We said we're just going to love Jesus. In the middle of our pruning, in the middle of not having any fruit, we're just going to try to bear fruit. Try to just do something that we know we love. Even though I don't have the title, even though I don't have the credentials, I'm going to actually step into just loving people. And even in that raw place, he said, oh, but you didn't know that I've actually planted a seed in the ground. You didn't realize that in all of the darkness, there's actually a seed. You didn't realize that when I pruned you, I pruned off all of the things that would suck off energy for the new promotion that I'm going to give you. You didn't realize that against the backdrop of pain, there's actually seeds of promotion that I'm planting. And not just seeds of promotion, of influence, but I'm actually planting seeds of provision. Because in that same month, we started a film company. Now, had I ever picked up a camera? No. Was I gifted? No. But the Lord actually put this dream in our heart. We started this company called Harvest Film Company. We named it after Harvey. And in the first year, we booked 27 weddings. In the second year, we booked 43 weddings. And all of a sudden, there was this shift that God started providing for us. And he started providing for us all the way through, with that film company, provided all the way through 2018, 2 years ago, when we sold the company. But for 5 years of growth, being a fledgling community, God actually provided for us as we were bivocational. Do you see that? He planted a seed, not only of promotion, but of provision. I want you to look at verse 2. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts up. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. In the pruning, there's actually a promise. Do you see that promise? That promise is, if I'm pruning you, that's because there's going to be more. There's going to be more. You thought this last season was fruitful and good, that your capacity and that your influence was strong to love people well. Oh, get ready, because your pruning is actually going to mean not only promotion for you, but promotion for love to actually develop in others' hearts. There's actually a producing of promise in the pruning. God is going to take your pruning moment, and he's actually seeding things into this season. And one of the greatest things that he's doing right now, if you're in pruning, do you know what he's doing? He's making the main thing the main thing. Ooh, that's real, isn't it? He's making the main thing, because all of the things that you thought he valued now got cut off. All the value that you brought to him, all the good things you're calling, your gifts, all of what God has put in your heart, all the good things that you do, they just got cut off, and now you have nothing to offer him. What you thought he thought was valuable now got cut off, and you're kind of going, well, how do you see me now that I can't provide anything to you? I can't give you anything. And the Lord's going, oh, this is what I love. When you have nothing to offer me, and you realize that you're a child. This is actually the best place for me as a dad. It's like our 1-year-old daughter. She can literally do nothing for us. But it's the sweetest of times. It's the best of times. Because I shower her with love, and she can't love me back. And it feels so right. And the father's going, you can't provide anything to me. You have no value apart from the value that I set on you. You have no worth apart from the worth that I've placed on you. And your worth isn't dependent on what you can do. And it's never been what you can do. You signed up to follow Jesus not because you could offer him anything. You signed up to follow Jesus because he actually said, you're worth God blood. And you get to actually surrender all of your control, and you get to surrender your life to me, not having anything to offer. I first loved you. Don't you remember? Like, we can say, Lord, when I'm 70 and 80 and 90, I'm going to love you. And the Lord's like, oh, I love that. But when you were a baby, you couldn't love me back. And there's seasons where maybe some of you feel like, I don't even know how to love him back. And in that moment, the Lord's like, oh, this is pruning, and you have nothing to offer me, and I love you. And a lot of times we have to face the fact that pruning leaves us feeling like insecure. I don't have anything to offer. But it's actually preparing us for greater problems. The humility that we gain in a season of pruning is so that in the future season, we actually have the grace to carry the promotion. The pruning, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to try to say it again. All right? The pruning in that season results in humility so that we can actually be prepared for the promotion and carry the promotion with grace. Because he resists the proud, and I don't want to be resisting him in the middle of promotion. I actually want the grace to carry it like he would carry it. Pruning looks like Abraham and Sarah when they're 80, and they have 20 more years of waiting. Pruning looks like Joseph in the prison, in the royal prison, on the eve of promotion. Pruning looks like the disciples the day after Jesus is crucified. Pruning looks like Elijah. Do you guys remember Elijah? He calls fire down from heaven and embarrasses 400 idol priests. And it's just him by himself. And then what happens after that? He's found in a cave on a mountain, feeling lonely and dejected, saying, where are you? Pruning is like Jesus. After the Father declares his pleasure, going into the wilderness before his promotion. I just want to encourage you that your pruning, I have a wondering if what's coming next is more fruit. And the fruit isn't for you. The fruit is because you're called to lay down your life for others. And so you're going to have a greater opportunity in the next season to lay down your life for a different group of people, or maybe the same group, but you're going to do it in a more beautiful way. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be colorful. And right now it seems gray, and it seems brown, and it seems really embarrassing. It doesn't feel like it should. the Lord's going, oh my goodness, this is right where I want you. And do you know that you only have one job when you get pruned? Because you don't have capacity for anything else. Is that right? You don't have capacity for anything else once you get pruned other than one thing. And the one thing is the main thing. And the main thing is to receive love. You, in this season of pruning, your calling, your success in this season is to sit with him and go, I don't have it all together. Do you love me? And then maybe you just need to articulate it out with your own words. And I'm even talking to you gentlemen. I'm talking to you main men where you feel like, man, I'm macho. I've got what it takes. And then you're getting pruned and you're like, oh no. And you don't feel as strong. You don't feel as masculine when you're getting pruned. And in that moment, what do you do as a man? What do you do as a man when you feel lonely, like you don't have it all together, and you're just a mess, and you're trying to wake up in the morning, but you don't feel the drive? What do? You have to be honest. You have to face it. You're getting pruned. But what's positive about the pruning is you actually have somebody that gets it. You have a vine dresser that is intentional, and he's bending down, and he's going, I want to lift you up so that I can shine on you. And in those moments, I want to encourage us. I want you to open up your mouth and say things like, you really do love me, don't you? I think so often we don't hear our own voices articulate the truth. Most of the time, we're agreeing with the enemy. Oh, I hate my hair. I hate my nose. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm not very strong. I just don't feel like I've got what it takes. And the Lord is going, oh, what if you started declaring my love over yourself and you started hearing your own voice, hear truth in your moment of pruning? Let's all stand.
At the first service, the Lord brought this to mind, and I shared, and want to share it with you guys too. I just feel like he was highlighting a word that he gave me earlier this year. And it was a time that I was sitting down with him and just facing frustration that I was having around not feeling like it was possible to go after the vision that was in my heart, and feeling like I had everything needed to go for this, yet my circumstances would not allow for it. And I was just wrestling, and through that season, it was just looking like every time I was sitting down with the Lord, I'm like seeking him for strategy around how to go after that thing. And he gave me this picture one day of me in like a cage, because that's how I felt. I felt like I was in a cage and couldn't get out, where it's like I can see clearly where I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do, but there is no way for me to get there. And he said something so simple. He said, stop shaking the cage. Stop rattling the bars of the cage. And I'm like, well, okay, then what am I supposed to do? And he just said, sit down. And I'm like, in the cage? He's like, in the cage. Sit down. And it was this moment for me, and I think if you're like me, it's like, I already know this, but sometimes we have to hear it again in a different way. And I believe that maybe this is for some of you the way that it's been for me in this season. It's so easy when we feel like we know where we're headed or what we want, but circumstances won't let us get there. It's so easy to just go, well, all of my focus is on getting there. I'm not really focused on connecting with him right now in the midst. And I just believe that there's an invitation for us in the midst of what might feel like a cage of a season to, instead of railing against it and striving to figure it out and solve the problem, to actually sit down and let him love us and receive from him. And I think it's just a word for some of us that he's there in the midst, which we know, but maybe we need to hear again. He's there in the midst of the tension. He's there in the midst of the disappointment. He's there in the midst when it's the opposite of where we thought we were headed. And so I just want to pray for us. If you want, you can close your eyes. And if any of this message is resonating with you and you feel like, man, I'm in the middle of pruning, you can do whatever helps you. You can open your hands to him. But I'm just going to pray for us. God, it's our desire to be connected with you in the midst of the darkness. Right in the middle of our pain, of our disappointment, when it looks nothing like it was supposed to. We want to be connected to you, God. We thank you for the reminder that you are right there. Emmanuel, with us, within us. Lord, let it be said of us that we're not just ones that walked with you once you fulfilled the promise. We want to be ones who walk with you in the tension. We want to be ones who walk with you in the darkness. The darkness isn't dark to you. It's like light to you. God, I thank you that you are lighting up the dark spaces for us tonight. Giving us vision, a vision of receiving your love. If this is an honest prayer for you, you can agree with it. That God, I'm going to take my eyes off of that long-term vision of where I'm headed, even though it's good, even though it's from you. And I'm going to shift my eyes right now, shift my attention, and shift my energy to go towards connection with you today, in the moment, in the midst. This is where we build history. Right here. We just thank you for grace, God. Grace to receive your love.
I think if you're to look around, I know many of your stories. And as I look at a lot of you, and I know that many people are watching online, and as I think about the families in our community and I look at many of you, I see so many that have been worthy of pruning. So many that weren't exempt from experiencing pruning this year. Maybe when you moved here and you thought it was going to be a certain way, and it wasn't. And there was pruning that happened. And I want to celebrate the fact that you are experiencing pruning, because it means that you're a fruitful believer. And it means that the Lord is preparing you for more fruit. I also want to just articulate that some of us, some of you might feel like you're in the place like we were in, where we're going, I'm working a job that doesn't feel like where I'm supposed to be, right? That was the only thing that was wrong for me in working the warehouse job. There's actually amazing things that I got to step into that was kingdom in working in the warehouse. And there's some of us that are called to actually work in a warehouse for the next 30 years, and it's actually God all over it. And it's the kingdom idea that he's put into your heart to be faithful and bless a company and see that company flourish because you showed up. And you are faithful day in and day out. But some of us feel like in that place, we aren't supposed to be there. We're supposed to be somewhere else. And that's why it felt wrong for me. Not because there was something wrong with the role. It was because I felt like I was supposed to be somewhere else. And maybe you feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. But in the place that you're at, God is actually taking that and he's going, hey, right here, receive. So Lord, I just declare, I'm just commissioning us out. Lord, I declare that this is a group of sons and daughters that will grow old receiving your love. For all of the seasons of suffering that this whole room corporately has together, there's thousands of seasons of suffering in this one room. Thousands of moments of pruning being experienced over lifetimes in this one room. And Father, I just declare over this house that we will be a house full of those found receiving when things get cut. Found leaning on our beloved when we're in the wilderness. Found sitting down at the table as our good shepherd prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. Oh, I declare over this people that goodness and mercy is going to follow us all the days of our lives. And that you're preparing us for more fruit, more loving of others around us, more multiplying your love everywhere we go. So I commission out these branches, whether they're pruned or whether they're in the season of fruitfulness, to receive his love. In Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen. Amen, amen. We love you. We will see you at the prayer room. Be safe out there. Is there snow on the ground? Okay, if there is snow on the ground, that hill out there might be a little bit slick, and so take a left out of the parking lot and go around. Be safe.